back to Talk Money Week. My name's Matt Dronfield and I'm head of Debt Free London. Across London there's 1.4 million people with a problem debt, and this Talk Money Week we're really encouraging everyone to seek free, impartial advice for any money worry you might have. Because we know when people do seek money advice, the feedback we receive is amazing. Here's some feedback for some of our clients.
Dear Debt Free London.
Hello, Debt Free London.
Dear Debt Free London.
Hello, Debt Free London.
I've been really struggling with my financial problems and until recently just wanted to disappear as I could see no way out. But with the support and advice I've had, I can see at least a glimmer of peace of mind. The fact that someone is actually trying to help and advise, showing genuine concern and support, it motivates me to actually talk and communicate with my debtors.
I recently faced hard times regarding a £9,000 debt when I was advised to speak to you by one of my friends. To keep things short, my advisor Uzma from your team at Hammersmith and Fulham called me back and was impressively calm and collected. She listened to the whole story and gave me advice on how to deal with paying back the debt in manageable manner.
I owe some money and my advisor Vandana has helped me to handle the entire situation. I am not a permanent resident here. My advisor advised me what options I have. How should I proceed the matter with creditor?
I had a very good experience with Jamie, an amazing guy who really made me feel at ease. He was also very helpful, and most especially, he understood where I was coming from.
Alfred was very kind, patient and thorough when giving me the advice and information on what I could do and what options were available regarding my debts. He definitely went above and beyond to help me.
My debt problems were having a disastrous effect on my mental health and were only going to descend further. The help I was given by your colleagues at the Mary Ward Legal Centre were instrumental in getting the debt vultures off my back and getting me essential breathing space to sort it out. The sharp practices by the debt agencies stopped almost immediately when they became aware of their involvement.
If it were not for you, no one would have listened to my story. I am very grateful for your time and hard work.
I would highly recommend Debt Free London to my family and friends, especially during these times. It was a helpful answer to my prayers.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Ironically, I will forever be indebted to Debt Free London for all your help. Jerry.
All my thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Debt Free London. Saika.
Thank you, Christian.
Thank you for everything, Neil.
If you do want to seek free impartial advice, we are here live at 58 Oxford Street at our pop-up location. We're open from 10 AM till 8 PM all week, including this Saturday. Do come down and visit us. But back to today's webinar, and as you can see, we're joined by a wonderful group of people and also our friends from Advice for Renters. And to speak us through today's webinar, it's my pleasure to introduce Pat from Advice for Renters to talk us through. Pat, all yours.
Thank you. Very much, Matt. So as Matt said, I'm from a charity called Advice for Renters. We've been established for 32 years now. We support people living in private rented accommodation. There are almost as many people living in poverty in private rented accommodation, children in particular, as there are in social housing, which is a staggering figure. And since 2004, that figure has risen exponentially by 104%. So that's who we represent. We work with people that are on low income, facing eviction, and we also campaign for their rights for much needed change to the housing system. So that's what we do as a whole. However, my particular project, Advice for Renters Money, deals with anybody that's struggling financially, regardless of their housing tenure. We support individuals from financial subsistence to hopefully financial resilience, and we support community leaders and their teams and volunteers to build financially resilient communities as well. Oh, what's happened to my finger? There we go. All right, so tell you a little bit about what we do in terms of projects. So we offer a whole host of financial inclusion services. So we have a team of community money mentor volunteers who will actually work with you one-to-one to help guide you through the mire that may be your finances. So from getting the best deals, looking at grants, discounts, the best way to go about things. We offer community financial capability workshops. So we offer these direct to the public as individuals, but if you happen to be watching from an organisation, a school, a food bank, a church, a community group, we also offer trainer sessions and help you to implement simple initiatives that you are sustainable and that you can carry on to hopefully help to make your community financially resilient. Okay, we have welfare benefits advisors who can help you navigate that mess as well. I'm sure for many of you that have just joined or had to resort to joining Universal Credit this year, you probably very much appreciate that. And also those of you on legacy benefits as well. We, along with our partners Caritas, offer employability training. We have a team of energy advisors that can help you navigate this energy crisis that we find ourselves in the midst in at the moment. There's sort of nobody in no corner that's been left unscathed, but more of that later. Just want to show you a little film. There we go.
Taking care of our customers is what matters most to us, because you're at the heart of everything we do. We understand that our services are your lifelines, and when it comes to managing your electricity, gas and water, there are times when a little extra help can make all the difference to you. That's why electricity, gas and water companies have come together to make the Priority Services Register even easier to use, giving you extra support when you need it most. It's completely free of charge and it's simple to sign up. So, is it actually for you? Well, the service is available if you rely on medical equipment, have refrigerated medicines, are living with a serious or chronic illness, have a disability, or have communication needs, are living with dementia, are of pensionable age, have children under 5 in the home, or need extra support for a short time due to life-changing events like bereavement. How will it help? We hope you never have to use a service, but if you do, we will provide you with the support to make your life safer and easier. It's always a good idea to register before emergencies come along to prevent any difficulties you weren't expecting and ensure you receive all the support available to you. Once you've signed up, you will be told about any work we may be doing nearby which may interrupt your supply. We will get in touch and help you work out what to do to stay safe, giving you peace of mind. You will also receive priority support in an emergency situation, such as bottled water delivered to your door or alternative heating and cooking facilities. We can give you the information in different ways, including over the phone. We even have a password scheme to protect you from scammers, or you can give us permission to deal with someone else, such as a family member or carer. We are all helping to give you a little extra support and peace of mind, keeping those lifelines flowing, whatever the circumstances, whatever the weather. We're here to help you stay safe, warm and independent in your own home. Think the Priority Services Register might be right for you or someone you care about? Find out more or register by contacting your electricity, gas or water company.
Okay, so in your participant packs today, and do feel free to email into us and we can send you that online, you'll be getting a number of tips, a little booklet which has 65 tips in there of how to heat your home efficiently and how to hopefully mitigate some of the expense that we're going to encounter this year, inevitably with the hike in the price cap. So, we also facilitate 2 credit unions, so Brent Neutral, which is part of Hillingdon Credit Union, and London Capital Credit Union. And again, I've got another little short film for you.
Credit unions, big enough to cope, small enough to care. Becky is worried. School starts in 3 weeks and she hasn't got money for Jason's uniform. And it's his birthday next week. Her friend Carly tells her about her local credit union, which she joined a couple of years ago. She pays in her child benefit each month and saves a small amount. She's even had a couple of loans, and they don't charge the earth in interest. Credit unions are community banks. Members save with them, and the money is borrowed by other members. It's all regulated, so your money is fully protected, just as it would be in a high street bank. The staff are friendly and helpful, and they're all members too. This could be just what Becky needs, and joining is easier than you think. All you need is proof of your ID, like your passport or a letter from the DWP, plus a utility or council tax bill that's less than 3 months old. Thanks to their local credit union, Joe and Fred have spent the last 5 years seeing the world. Once upon a time, they didn't have savings and struggled to cope with unexpected bills. After years of relying on payday lenders, they finally discovered the credit union. Once they'd put enough by to cover minor emergencies, they took out a small loan for their first mini break abroad. They've also opened a junior savings account for their eldest grandchild, Mia. Like them, she saves a bit of her pocket money each week and puts it into her account. Great habits learnt young. Joan and Fred are happy, knowing they're looking after their family's future. Megan and Kyle just got the keys to their first home. Joining their local credit union was Meg's idea. They'd been paying in whatever they could, and now have saved enough to borrow money for a TV. They first saw the one they wanted in a pay weekly store, but when Kyle did the maths, they realised how much it would cost them in the long run. Enter the credit union with a great value loan that nearly halves the amount they pay. It's a no-brainer. Tom joined the credit union after getting into trouble with the loan shark. He needed to borrow £500 fast, and a fella down the pub said he could help. When Tom's work hours got cut and he couldn't meet repayments, that fella sent the heavies for him. They followed him everywhere, and even threatened to kill his dog. Tom contacted the illegal money lending team, who explained that because the debt was illegal, he didn't owe any money. They prosecuted the loan shark, and Tom's debt was wiped. They also told him about the local credit union, which offers a safe way to save and borrow. Now things are looking up for Tom and his family. If your local credit union is just what you need, get in touch online, and remember, your money will be protected by the Financial Services Compensation Scheme. If you or someone you know is involved with a loan shark, do what Tom did and call the Stop Loan Sharks 24-hour confidential hotline. They're waiting to help, and you don't have to leave your details if you don't want to. Tom would like to thank his local credit union and the England Illegal Money Lending Team. The team prosecutes loan sharks and puts them in jail. They also confiscate their ill-gotten gains and use them to pay for things like this video.
So that's a little bit about credit unions, and equally as importantly, loan sharks as well. And when people get into that, they do desperate things. And it's almost like financial grooming. Somebody that starts off as being a friend, or a so-called friend that's helping you out, or somebody down the pub, or an uncle, or an auntie, will quite happily lend you some money until you find difficulty in paying it back, and it can turn sort of pretty nasty. But our friends at the Legal Money Lending Team, they have an anonymous line. You can report back to them directly, anonymously, as I say, without any fear of repercussions. Many people don't do anything about loan sharks because they fear that they will be the ones that will be prosecuted because they haven't managed to pay the money back. Not true at all. So come talk to us about loan sharks if you feel that you may be in a position with one of these. There is absolutely no judgment down here, so do come and talk to us. We can help you with that. And of course, credit unions, we have our friends from London Capital Credit Union who are here present today, who look after Central London, and we also cover Brent Mutual and Hillingdon Credit Union that look out further, sort of West London and further. But as you saw before, you can very easily find my credit union, and that will give you the site to your local people. So we also set up community savers clubs in communities as well. So while people might be quite distrustful of banks or not be able to access them because of their financial situations, we set up community savers clubs wherever people congregate. So whether that's a church, a food bank, a school, and basically these are affiliated to the larger credit union and can offer the same services, but right at grassroots in the hearts of the community. So for example, in my church we have a young at heart pensioners group, and when they meet every Wednesday to pay their subs into the pension, into their club, they also might drop £1 or £2 into their savings as well. So it's savings right in the heart of the community. And again, if you're a community leader or work with any community projects, come and have a word with us about that as well, and we can help you to become affiliated also. So Acts 435 and also the Brent Solidarity Fund, but these are hardship grants that we can help to facilitate for people who are in immediate financial crisis. So again, I've got a little film to show you.
Acts 435. It's about giving to people directly to help them in a really practical way. Acts 435 has helped Sophie on low income, suddenly faced with the cost of car repairs so she can still get to work. Angeline, who's fled domestic violence and is starting from scratch. Jack, unable to pay his large gas bill after a very cold winter. The way it works is that a local church or charity advocate posts the specific need on the website. So Sophie needs £110 to get her car back on the road. One donor gives £5, another £30, another £10, until together we raise the money for the item. 100% of your gift will go directly to the person in need. There are no hidden costs. Be part of this opportunity to directly help someone in need. Acts 435, giving to anyone in need.
Okay, so if you are feeling a little bit flush this winter, and one of these people that are unscathed financially by the immediate dramas that we're all in, then we'd like to encourage you to perhaps make a donation to Acts 435. So Acts 435, I didn't say before, is a crowd-funded portal where you can assist people directly. So when you go on the website, you can actually filter by area, by type of issue. So for example, mental health, domestic violence, benefits sections, again in a particular area, and you can make a donation to somebody directly. 100% of your money goes to aid that person. And so we're in a position to be able to help people that are in financial crisis. But perhaps if you're down here doing your Christmas shopping and you're a little bit stuck, what to give somebody, you've already given them a goat in Timbuktu and named a constellation after them, then I'd very much encourage you to perhaps make a donation to Acts 435. As it says, a small gift can make a big difference. Give another gift. And finally, we have our debt management resolution centre. So we are in a position to assist people from simple money worries to, oh, I've got to get school uniforms next week and I don't know where the cheapest place is, or perhaps they're looking to try and minimise their electricity bill. We can help them right the way up to serious complex debt. So debt relief orders, IVAs, bankruptcy and the like. So wherever you are in your financial journey, if you're just thinking, I'd like to get a little bit of a better grip on my finances and what I'm doing, or if you are at the other end of the scale where it's seriously beginning to impact on the way you live, again, come and see one of our friendly advisors. No judgment, they're just here to support you. So dealing with debt. Quite often when I am doing training with people and we ask them about causes of debt, I often get back this judgmental, well, it's because people don't know how to manage their money in a very pompous way. And yeah, that may well be true of a lot of people. And things escalate and can spiral from a sudden change of circumstances very quickly. But when I'm dealing with people that are in poverty, the simple answer to the reason why they're in poverty is because they don't have enough money. And as glib as that sounds, that is the honest reason. The cost of living today is so expensive. But just looking at some other causes, as I say, those changes in circumstances. So we've got redundancy, loss of hours, relationship breakdown. We have unforeseen emergencies, chronic illnesses, bereavement. It's not necessarily all doom and gloom. So you might be saving for a wedding or planning that dream wedding of yours that you didn't get to do during COVID, so you're going all out now. You might be expecting a new baby. And of course, we've now got pandemics to deal with as well, and it's hard to say who hasn't been affected in some way financially by the current situation that we're in. Hopefully soon to be past the situation that we're in. Okay, so October the 2021 marked a very dark and rainy day in pretty much everybody's finances. So we had the end of COVID concessions regarding evictions, meaning more people are likely to be evicted and to lose their homes. We had the end of the furlough scheme, which supported employers to keep many of their staff on. So we may actually see more redundancies coming our way. We had the scrapping of the universal credit uplift, which means that people that may have been having an additional £20 a month, or £20 a week, I beg your pardon, will lose that. And we all tend to live at the very extremes of our outcomes, so losing £20 a week will make a significant impact on them adversely. And of course, I'm sure you can't help but notice there's been an increase in the energy price cap. So gone are all of the cheap deals that we had previously. This is going to affect everybody as well. Nobody should have to choose whether they eat or heat their homes. Shouldn't have to choose food or fuel, but sadly people do. So that's one of the things that we can help you with today. If you're popping down later, and you can, then grab an electricity bill and a water bill, and we can possibly potentially help you to get some concessions sort of here and now. So do bring those down if you come down to see us today. Or in fact, we'll be back on Friday, so bring them with you then. Okay. There we go. So, if you imagine how that actually transpires into a scenario, a household who paid £80 a month for their energy, they may have just lost £80 in universal credit. Meanwhile, their bills may have gone up by £20 due to the increase in the energy hike. So that family has gone from barely making ends meet to being in £100 a month debt, potentially overnight. So as you can see, it's very easy for things to flip-flop and for you to be doing sort of like fair to middling or okay or keeping your head above water to suddenly having some crisis or financial shock that plunges you into debt. And that's very easy to escalate, as we'll see later. So some of you are thinking, well, do you know what, that's all well and good, but I'm doing okay, that doesn't really apply to me. So let's talk credit cards. So as of August 2021, the average credit card cost per household was £2,033 per household, or £1,068 per adult. So, quick thinking and audience participation here. How long do you think that might take to pay off if you only paid the legally minimum payment?
2 years?
2 years?
3 years?
Couple of years? Okay. Are you sitting down? Well, I know you're sitting down, but brace yourselves. It would take a staggering 24 years and 9 months to pay off the average credit card bill if you only made the legal payment, the legal minimum. So the minimum payment in the first month would be £53, and that would reduce as the months went on. But even if you continued to pay £53 each month, that would, you still will have taken 5 years and 1 month to clear it. So while that £1,000 or £2,000 even may not look like a very daunting figure, when you think that you're going to be burdened by that for, well, potentially 24 years, 25 years, although you're no longer allowed to continue to pay just the minimum payment now, you could potentially be looking at 5 years, 1 month. It's a long time to have that hanging over your head. Okay, so you may have seen these now, so whenever you're sort of buying anything, so whether it's live, in person, as we're allowed to do now, or online. So we have the likes of Klarna, Lay-Buy and ClearPay, and these are what we call buy now, pay later organisations. So they offer you free interest-free credit over a period of time to make your purchases. So managed correctly, these can be a cheap way of accessing credit, but if something goes wrong, you face fees and even marks on your credit file, which can have repercussions for, say, for loans when you really, really need them, perhaps when you need to take a mortgage out, when you're in that position. So in some cases, in most cases you'll be charged late fees, and these fees can eventually dwarf the cost of the product that you bought in the first place. So it's something to be aware of. It can look very, very simple and an easy option to actually spread the cost. And as I say, when used correctly, they can be an easy way of gaining credit. However, there are so many pitfalls, and we're going to look at some of the reasons why people might fall into debt, or some of the signs that people are falling into debt also. Okay, so here we go, some signs of early debt. Okay, so some of the signs that you might think, well, do you know what, I think I'm doing okay. I came across a lady the other day who was permanently living in her overdraft, but thought that her finances balanced, didn't realise that she was actually in debt, even if you're within your authorised overdraft. And she came to us very concerned that the bank had written to her and said that they were going to reduce her overdraft by £10 every month. And she was panicking because she thought, what am I going to do in 9 months' time? And they're driving me into debt. The fact is, this lady was already living beyond her means, so we helped her to reassess her budget so that she could get ahead with her finances and actually make some savings. And we're going to show you how to do that a little later. So regularly being penalised by default charges and late fees, such as the buy now and pay later fees that I mentioned earlier. So repeatedly making the minimum payments on credit cards. Using credit to get to payday. So using your credit card just to get to the end of the month. So there's an old saying that I like to use, is that you know that you're suffering when you've got a lot more month left at the end of your money. So using credit to pay credit. So taking out a loan to pay out your credit cards. Oops, I was expecting a few more of those. Those have disappeared. But what are the consequences of being in debt? Well, the co-causal links between mental health and debt are well documented. So 2017 Christians Against Poverty survey said that 73% of people seeking debt help said that debt made them feel ill. 1 in 3 people who are in debt go on to develop a mental health issue. And you're 4 to 6 times more likely to develop a mental health issue if you have a mental health illness. So as you see, it's a vicious circle. So people in problem debt are more than 3 times likely to attempt suicide as those who aren't. And over 420,000 people in England alone consider taking their own lives due to debt every year. 420,000 people just in England. Those figures are just absolutely staggering for me. So those are some of the consequences of being in debt and some of the consequences about not talking about money. So that's why we're here today, to encourage you to talk about money, whether you talk to us confidentially, whether you bring your whole family down because they need a good talking to collectively, or whether you're just really, really troubled and possibly one of those people whose mental health is being compromised, or even fearing that there is no answer other than a permanent thing like suicide. So come and talk to us. Oh, my finger's not working. There we go. So what should you do if you're in debt? Or even if you're just worried about money? So the first thing is to do an emergency budget. Budgeting is one of those very unsexy subjects which I can talk about for 3 hours just alone. In fact, we do a 3-week budgeting course, but it needn't be that laborious. Talk to your creditors if you think that you might fare missing a payment. So if something's happened this month, you've had to replace the boiler or the washing machine or something like this, do ring up your credit card or your loan people and just say, look, we've had a bit of a crisis this month. They're happy, they want you not to be in a position where you're in debt, and there's a good chance that you won't be able to pay them back at all. So they will work with you to create a payment plan where perhaps you'll excuse that payment that month, or they let it slide, or they change the schedule, or they reduce the payments ongoing. They want to work with you. What you can't do, and what you mustn't do, is bury your head in the sand. Speak to them. If you don't feel in a position to speak to them, if you feel overwhelmed or intimidated, then again, come and speak to Advice for Renters Money. We can help you with that. Again, be careful about borrowing. The worst situation is taking out more credit to pay for existing credit. Don't take out a loan to pay off your credit cards. Don't increase your credit cards to pay off the loan. This is money that you don't have, and the problem will escalate. So be very, very careful about borrowing. And most importantly, again, as I say, seek professional debt-free debt advice. So Advice for Renters work one-to-one with clients, face-to-face, now that we're allowed to do that again, where you'd only ever speak to one advisor or one of our additional specialists should you need to. There are other alternatives such as debt lines, step change, and pay plan that offer telephone services and online services. But if you actually need somebody to hold your hand and help you navigate your way through this mire, then do come and see us at Advice for Renters Money. Okay, so what can you expect? Ooh. Oh, I've broken it now, where are we? There we go. I don't have somebody to say next slide, please. I am ultimately responsible for all of this.
Obtaining debt advice can be done in more ways than you might realise. Talking to an advisor at a face-to-face appointment isn't the only way. More and more advice is given over the phone or online. There is more information about these services in your workbook.
There are also self-help materials available for those who feel comfortable tackling their problems on their own. These can be used alongside other types of advice. The level of support a person needs varies too. While some can do everything on their own, others may need an advisor for casework support to do some or all of the tasks for them. As you'll see during the next activity, there are different levels of support, from unassisted self-help to casework, which is described in a table in your workbook. These can be accessed through different advice channels, such as face-to-face meetings, phone calls, or emails. The best fit depends on the individual. There are a couple of ways you can help someone access free advice. You can signpost them to an organisation by giving them an address, phone number, or web address, or you can refer them to an agency by making the appointment for them. Building relationships with local agencies may make it easier to refer people. There's information on how to find these local services in your workbook. Referrals may be particularly reassuring for those who are anxious about getting advice, or if they're vulnerable. Being vulnerable doesn't mean they'll need face-to-face advice though. Someone with a mental health problem, for example, may be able to engage better with telephone advice than a face-to-face meeting. You can always start the advice process together by calling a service like National Debtline for free from a landline or mobile, or visiting our website. A trained debt advisor will offer free, confidential and independent advice on all types of debt and the available options in England, Wales and Scotland. If necessary, you can call on their behalf. You'll be given a reference number which you, with their permission, or they, can quote if you need to call back. Choosing one advice channel or level of support doesn't mean they can't use a different one if they need to. For example, the person you're helping may decide to use self-help materials but realise that they need a bit more help. There's nothing to stop them from picking up the phone for some guidance or making an appointment with an advice agency. It'll be good to consider whether you will support them further, such as go to any appointments with them or catch up with them later to see how it all went. Will you help them with any actions the advisor recommended, and how will you organise this? You're not obliged to do this, but you may want to. Also, will you keep a record of the people you've helped, just numbers or names? If you do, you'll have to think about data protection and confidentiality. You may want to take a little time to think about this after the workshop.
The way I found out about the debt advice and being put in touch with them was through being involved with another organisation, women's organisation, who were able to help me with the basic issues like writing letters, and so she advised me. My key worker said, I'll put you in touch with the debt advisor because there are so many you have, and they will be able to help you.
I needed to get a grip. I wasn't in the right place, and I didn't have the necessary skills to get a grip by myself. So I had to go, look outside and see what was out there. And it just so happened I picked up this card and got in touch.
When I walked out of the meeting, I felt I'm not alone. This may take longer or short, I don't know, but at least there is someone who can help me.
They asked sensible questions, they wrote everything down, they discussed it amongst themselves, they went and discussed it with colleagues, and then they came back with, I guess, practical sort of homework. For me, make this phone call, send this letter, do that.
He spoke to me about my debt and how I could sort them out. And I had to bring in all my debt, all my arrears into the office. And we looked at everything, letters, who want their money back and everything. So I brought that in.
We got in touch with them and agreed on a small amount of money to pay each month, which I do, which is affordable.
Now he wrote to most of my debtors and my loans and my Argos cards and all that. We got that sorted out a little bit. And some of them wrote back to me and said they're sorry that I'm in debt, but I could pay so much towards it, and I thanked them, and that was it. So I was quite happy with the outcome of that.
They were very supportive, more than More than enough, yes. Kept contact and informed me what was going on, and I had a couple of visits probably every fortnight to see how things were. And yeah, more than enough.
Okay, so that is one of the videos actually that we use when we're training our community money mentors, our befrienders and mentors, who will work with you over a period of 6 months to help you to achieve your aspirations really. So debt doesn't have to be the nail in the coffin to all of your dreams. It's also a video that we use with community organisations, but I like to use it because it illustrates the sort of help that you will get from debt advice, whether that's directly from Advice for Renters Money on a one-to-one basis, or what you might be able to expect from an online situation or telephone situation as well. So that's a lot of information about debt, so I hope that's making you feel a little bit more comfortable about what you could do, what potential options you might have in terms of dealing with that. I hope we've made you feel comfortable enough to give us a call at Advice for Renters to see how we can support and assist you. But also, hopefully, it's given you some tools to pull your head from out of the sand if that's what you tend to do in terms of your finances as well. So budgeting is really, really important, so you know exactly how much money you've got or you haven't got. You may still be forced to make decisions that you don't really want to, but knowledge is power, as they say. So now I'm going to talk about savings really, which seems to be a little bit at odds going from debt to savings, but that's what we're going to do. So we're really, really familiar with the idea of there being a debt crisis at the moment. There's lots of us that have champagne lifestyles and lemonade budgets, and there are many companies such as the buy now pay later companies that will encourage us to spend money that we don't necessarily have. But we are in the midst of a savings crisis as well. So 25% of the population nationally have less than £100 savings. In London, that rises to 40%. That's almost 3.6 million Londoners who have little or no financial resilience. So what does that mean? Well, 4 in 10 people in problem debt experience some kind of income shock, like a broken boiler, car repairs, every 6 months. So if you've got away with the last 6 months scot-free, you've probably got something coming just around the corner now. And without that financial resilience, without that financial buffer, this can often be the catalyst that sends us into debt initially. So I just want you to have a think. So don't worry, I won't pick on anybody here, but how often do you actually think about your money? Does anybody know? Again, I don't need to see a show of hands, but do you know how much money is in your bank account right now? I think it's quite easy, and I think a lot of the millennials, yes, all of you young people, it's a little bit easier because many of you are using banking apps, so you can check to see what's in your account. However, the temptations for you in particular are tremendous. So do you have a budget? And if you do you stick to it? Again, I'm seeing lots of guilty faces and squirming. I'm not going to pick on anybody. And how do you currently manage your money? Do you manage your money, or does your money manage you? Okay, if you're on the wrong side of any of those questions, then don't worry, you're not alone. 1 in 4 people have no idea how much money they spend in a week. You're not alone, okay? And as I say, I could talk for days, literally days, about budgeting, but I will spare you that because we've got a very short session today. In your packs, you will be given a paper budget planner with lots of instructions and tips in there, but I would always encourage people to use one of the online tools, and there are many, many fabulous online tools there. Particularly from our sponsors today, we have the Money Helper budgeting planner, which you can see there. It takes, if you're a little bit mathematically challenged or suffering from dyscalculia, I can't even say that, then it takes all the hard work out for you, and it will do that. But you know, do a budget. keep a budget. Review that budget. Don't just think, oh, I did one 2 years ago, that's fine. Whenever there's a change in your circumstances, be it a pandemic, be it a wedding, be it a pay rise, be it a pay cut, be it a fluctuating salary due to the gig economy, then do a budget, review your budget. I'd also really encourage you to do a bank account audit as well. That's a really good place to start. Sit down, get one of your bank statements out, get all of your bank statements out, and just run through it and see what you're actually paying out. Surprising how many direct debits that we still pay because we forgot to cancel them. Sort of old phones that have run out of contract, that gym subscription that we used 3 weeks back in 2019, we haven't seen the light of day yet, TV subscriptions, and my particular bugbear, are you still paying that D&G insurance on a washing machine that you had 3 washing machines ago? Yeah, so do a bank account audit. You can save tremendous amounts of money there. Okay, so I'm going to talk about how you might be able to pull back some money now. So let's have a look at invisible money. So an article by Aviva, the insurance company, states that a typical UK adult spends about £18.23 on invisible items. Now these figures are from 2015, and the most up to date that I could find. So, you know, allowing for inflation, we're looking at least £20. At least £20, I'm certain, probably a good deal more as well. So what do I mean by invisible money? Well, it's the money that just kind of slips through your fingers on the way from A to B. So it could be buying that bar of chocolate at the newsagents, or that bottle of water because you just were desperate and you couldn't wait. Or maybe it was a Costa or Starbucks on the way to work, even though you've got free coffee at work, but you just wanted to treat yourself. That's the invisible money that I'm talking about, the money that's in your purse that just slips through your fingers. Okay. So whilst £18.23 mightn't sound a lot, it does add up. So over the year, that equates to a total invisible spend of almost £1,000. And over a lifetime, this could be as much as nearly £50,000. And again, it's the money that you have nothing to show for, that just slips through your fingers. Okay. And that's before any inflationary increases are taken into account. So again, we're probably very much easily looking at over £1,000 and £50,000 for a lifetime right now. But where can that cash go? So 7 out of 10 adults who spend on these items, such as the chocolate bars, the canteen cups of coffee, or the Starbucks or the Costas, so that they'd be willing to give up or cut back on their spending in order to save more. That same research also showed that 26% of people don't keep track of their savings at all, and 22% only keep track on the bigger items. So again, we're not thinking about that slippery, sliding, invisible money. Okay, but what could you do with £948? Well, you could take an all-inclusive holiday to Spain for 2. You could commute to work for over half a year. You could feed a family of 4 for 3 months. Or if you're so enamoured, you could buy a new smartphone and pay your bill for half a year. Okay, so that's significant money. You know, I'm sure there's something there that sort of entices somebody. Okay. So, I'm just going to get these all up. So when I'm working with my people that are on low income, perhaps on benefits, we play a little game where I give you money. Oh, that caught your interest, didn't it? So, if I gave you £75, and again, you can just have a think about this. If I gave you £75 here and now, what would you do with it? You know, some people are quite worthy, and it's like, I would pay my credit card bill. You know, but more honestly, there are other people that would be like, I'm going to buy those shoes next door. Okay, same for £100, £150, £300. That's definitely handbag and the matching shoes. Okay, what if I said you could actually have that money in 10 months' time So where are we now? We're in November, so perhaps by next September, next summer, when it's time to go on holiday, you could actually have those shoes and that handbag. Well, how much would you need to save? For £75, that's just 25p a day. When you're thinking about that invisible money, that £20 of invisible money a week, 25p a day isn't that difficult to find, is it? Okay? For £150, that would be 50p a day. And for £300, that would be £1 a day. So we're not saying stop all of your treats, never buy a coffee again, never buy water, chocolate, a magazine, all of these things. But you can see that with making very small changes to the way that we think about money, that when you escalate those figures up and you're saving even smallest amounts consistently, that it escalates to quite considerable numbers. Okay, so we've sat down, we've created our budget. How do we start to tackle to make sure that our budget's actually balanced? Well, the first thing, and probably one of the most difficult things, is actually increasing our income. That would be fabulous, wouldn't it, if we could just go out and, well, maybe you can take on some additional shifts. You might be looking at retraining, cross-training. It's not always the easiest thing to do, particularly in this climate. There is, however, a wonderful website by a lady called Jasmine Birtles, and if Martin Lewis is the money-saving expert, then she's like the money-making expert equivalent, like particularly if you're on low income. So do check out her website, moneymagpie.com. Lots of useful tips on there to how to make your money go a little bit further. But what else can we do to balance our budget? Well, there's 3 things here that I like to call the 3 C's. Cut costs, cut back, and cut out. So what does that mean? Sounds ominous. Oop. And I've just lost connection. Okay, so if you can still see me broadcasting, we're having a few technical difficulties.
Just proves we're live, right?
And we're back again. Thank you so much, Matt. Again, never leave me in charge of tech. Okay. So there we go. So cut costs, but how? Okay. Well, we can look at switching providers, and NewSwitch is a great site. If anybody does watch Martin Lewis religiously every Thursday, as I do, my homework, my guru, you'll know in terms of your electricity and your utilities and gas bills, the advice is, do you want to shout it at me?
Switch provider. Do nothing.
Do nothing, exactly. So medals to the 3 ladies in the front there, do nothing. At the moment, there are no cheap rates on your utility bills. The cheapest rate that there will be the standard variable tariff, and there's been a price hike on that for the average bill of £139. That's if you have average usage. If you use more than that, it will be greater than that. Sadly, the people that are going to be hardest hit are those that were previously the most canny and sought the cheapest rates and switched frequently. When those rates actually expire, they will experience the greatest difference in terms of finance to the price hike. However, there are other utilities or other providers that you could look at are getting deals. So perhaps changing your broadband. Has your mobile phone contract expired? Quite often people end up paying over the odds for a phone that they've already paid for when they should only be paying the usage tariff. So have a look at that. Again, do your bank account audit. Okay, so money saving expert, St. Martin, I just mentioned him there. Okay, look for vouchers to save money and treats out. Like we've just been through the most horrible 18 months, and yeah, we deserve a treat. Of course we deserve a treat. Hopefully we deserve a treat in the most cost-effective way. So look out for things like Voucher and Groupon. If it's something that you're going to do anyhow, try and get the best price for it. Turn down your heating by 1 degree and put a jumper on in the winter. So the average temperature of a room should be between 18 and 23 degrees. So you know, there's a little bit of scope in there to actually turn your heating down and save on your heating bills. So in your participants pack, we've got a fabulous, as I say, 65 tips on how to save on your electricity, gas and utilities in there, and also on your water bills. So come and talk to us about that today. As I say, if you're going to pop down later, bring a utility bill with you, so we've got details of the supplier, and we can do that for you straight away, or pop down and see us Friday. We'll be back also. At the supermarket, check the cost per rate of products. You know, sometimes it's very easy to look at one product and think, oh, that's cheaper. But are you actually getting value for money there? And trade down a brand. Okay, so what does that mean, the last two? Again, I could spend a whole 2 hours talking about the best ways to shop. But we're just going to play a little game here. So typically, in those days of your pre-pandemic, we would actually get the Chocky biscuits out and get everybody to dive in and do a taste test. So we're just going to do a virtual taste test at the moment, which is no way is gratifying. I appreciate that, but don't blame me, blame it on the COVID. So, average price for a packet of McVitie's digestives is about £1.35 for 16 biscuits. Compare that to Asda Home Brand, it's 44p for 18 biscuits. So at this point we'd have plate A with 1 biscuit on, anonymously, and plate B with the other biscuit on, and we get people to do a taste test. Now it's not a competition, but invariably we've always got a couple of bright sparks. They go, that one's McVitie's, that one's McVitie's, my palate, I've got a very high palate. And we also equally get as many people that are, actually I really prefer B, like quite surprised in some situations. Just in case you're watching this and coming to one of our workshops, they aren't necessarily on plate A or B. Sometimes we throw a C plate in there just as a curveball. Okay, so the McVitie's biscuits equates to £8, that's a very expensive biscuit, so I think that's Fortnum and Mason's. Equates to 8.4p per biscuit, compared to the Asda biscuit, which is 2.4p, so already we're seeing a marked difference. What does that actually mean? So if you bought 1 packet a week, and these are quite small, the smallest packet of biscuits that you can get, so you know, we're not being extravagant here at all. I could eat that in 1 sitting, frankly, but that's another story, that's just me. But 1 packet a week of the digestives, the McVitie's digestives, would cost you £70.20, compared to £22.88 if you were to switch brand to the Asda biscuits, the Asda Home Brand. But what does that mean? You could actually save £47.32p just by switching the brand. Okay, and that's just one item. Imagine if you did that to 5, 10 similar products, similar items. You know, you can see that the savings could add up again quite considerably. Could be £500. Could be a contribution to the holiday, or that new phone, or those shoes, and that handbag that you want. You know, the thing about budgeting is that there's nothing that is bad. You know, we don't judge you for making the decisions that you make. Nothing on a budget is bad or wasteful as long as you have the money to pay for it. So by making little sacrifices, we can actually see how we can be in control of our savings. So when you are at a supermarket, I'm going to launch into my supermarket spiel very quickly here. Try trading down a brand. So if you buy the premium brands, Tesco's Finest, Asda Extra Special, Sainsbury's Taste the Difference, drop down to the branded items, so things like Heinz, Birdseye, Walkers. Okay, if you're on Walkers, then drop down to the home brands. So it's supermarket brands, Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's. And if you're already shopping those brands, check out the value brands. Asda Smart Price, Tesco Value, Sainsbury's Biscuits, Sainsbury's Basics, I beg your pardon. Now if you were to go from Tesco's Finest to Tesco's Value, would you notice the difference? I'd say maybe you would. Maybe you would. Some items not so much. Other items, yeah, if you've got a very high palette, then you might notice a difference. But if you drop down one brand, I'd really back myself to say that the difference would be imperceivable to most people. So consider that. We've seen how those sums of money can actually add up. When you're in the supermarket, look lower. That's what I'm going to say. Crouch down. If you've got toddlers, get them to do it for you. So eye level is buy level, is what they commonly say. So you're likely to see the super premium prices straight ahead of you. But if you go down lower, lower and lower, you'll find the value brands at the bottom on the lower shelves there. So bend those knees. It's easy for me to say, not so easy for me to do. But also, where do you shop? Okay, we have a hierarchy of supermarkets there. So we've got Waitrose and Marks and Spencer's being amongst the most expensive, followed by Sainsbury's, Morrison, Asda and Tesco's. Their typical markup on a British supermarket is about 7%. We've got Iceland that kind of sits a little bit lower than that. And at the bottom we've got our European discount supermarkets, Lidl and Aldi, who normally trade on a 1% markup. So that's how they can offer lower prices, and they have a much reduced brand range of products as well. So perhaps it might mean taking an extra bus to get to your supermarket, or driving an extra few miles to get to one of the cheaper supermarkets, but do check them out. You could make so much savings on your food, on your grocery shop, which is something that we all have to do. And English households, or British households I should say, probably waste about a fifth of the items that they buy, the money that they actually spend on groceries as well. So check that out. So here we've just got the comparison of a typical shopping basket. You can see Aldi up there at the cheapest. Aldi and Lidl tend to fluctuate actually, right the way down to Waitrose at the bottom there. So we've got £66.45 compared to £105.25 for pretty much the same basket. Okay, so cut back. Yes, but how? So we'll start with the big one, probably the most controversial one. Can you trade in your car for a cheaper model? Or maybe walk more, take off for short journeys, or cycle instead? So I think the pandemic as well, it's kind of illustrated to us that, many of us have very expensive cars, or maybe cars that we don't use that much, or maybe cars that we only really use at the weekend. We're all trying to be greener. So I should advocate walking or cycling, but I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to things like this. But do you really need to have that big posh flash car that you've probably got on finance? Can you actually trade down to something more manageable? So cutting back, again, we're not saying stop doing everything that you love. If you eat out sort of like once a week, if that's your thing, maybe eat out twice a month rather than every single week. If you look at your typical takeaway for two, it's about £18. Again, that could cost you almost £1,000 a year. If you had a takeaway like every other week, you could half that to £468 a year. Yeah, so again, you've got almost £500 in a year just by making one little difference. And we've all got the COVID pounds at the moment, sort of like trimming back on our takeaways wouldn't do any of us any harm. And even when you're out and about, sort of like at the office, if you buy lunch every day at work, if you buy even a Sainsbury's or a Tesco's meal deal, you're spending between £3, £3.50. When you escalate that up to a full year's worth of money, that's again £910. That's almost £1,000 again on sandwiches that you could make at home. Or even those leftovers, even that fifth of the grocery shopping that we tend to waste, that could actually be your lunch. If you buy lunch only one day a week, that could save you £720, £28. There's always that one day where we wake up and we just think I'd rather starve than get up early and actually make myself lunch now. But still, the savings are quite significant. And then possibly onto the hardest area, but the most rewarding, or financially impactful I could say, is cutting things out. So when was the last time you made really good use of that gym membership? We all start off very enthusiastic, conscientious and keen to do these things. But people tend to use, and I know that I can see there's sort of gym bunnies looking very awkward in front of me and a little bit nervous at the moment, but the average person will use that gym membership for 3 weeks. 3 weeks following their routine, going religiously morning, noon and night, 3 times a week, 5 times a week, what have you. So do think of that in January when you make those New Year's resolutions. If you're going to go to the gym, make sure that it's one of these memberships that you can terminate on a monthly basis. And as optimistic as you want to be that you will actually start again, just cancel it and restart it when you really are in a position to do that. So do you really use all of those subscriptions to get enough value for your money? If you're one of these, I had a grandfather who lived with his grandson and he paid the bills and he paid for Sky, and the grandson came of age and moved out, but for 4 years he was still paying for every single package on Sky TV and on Netflix as well. And this lovely little old gentleman only ever wanted to watch the History Channel and the animal and wildlife documentaries. So we reduced his bill from, I think it was about £75 a month down to £30 a month. So do you really need all of those subscriptions? Can you do without them? Are you getting value for money from them? Okay, so what other areas in your budget can you cut out? So I don't need to answer me now, I'm not going to hold any of you to ransom, but do think about this. So cut back, cut costs and cut out. These tiny little tweaks that you can make to your budget and the ways that you spend money, and you escalate those figures up over a year, they can be significant savings, and those savings can help you reach your aspirational goals, the things that you really want to do that might seem sort of beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, so some of you would sitting there thinking, yeah, but that's great, I'm on benefits, I haven't got a spare penny, I can't do any of this. Well, so it's £2 billion worth of unclaimed benefits in London alone. When you look nationally, that figure is £20 billion of unclaimed benefits. Okay, so that's people not getting what they're entitled to. One that I'm particularly keen on is the fact that 2 in 5 pensioners in London are eligible for the guaranteed element of pension credit and they're not claiming it. Okay, now pension credit is such an important benefit for those of you that are eligible, because it's seen as one of the gateway benefits to other discounts, if you like. So if you are entitled to the guaranteed element of pension credit, that will make sure that you don't have to pay for your TV licence. So again, come and have a word with us. We can check very, very simply and very quickly and help you make sure that you can make an application if you're entitled. So one thing that I would very strongly recommend that you do, if you are on benefits, is do a benefit review. Okay, now turn to us and entitled to the great online tools. There are other ones where you can actually do this yourself. It's very intuitive the way that you actually follow the forms. Make sure you've got all of your details with you. Or if not, you find the prospect of that to be daunting, again, call us at Advice for Renters Money. We'd be happy to either assist you or to actually do that for you. Okay, so again, if you're on benefits, I'm going to give you 10 mitigating factors, like high speed, things that you can be doing. So, number 1, a benefits review. Number 2, look at discretionary housing payments. Number 3, council tax reductions and discounts. In at number 4, we've got local welfare assistance. I feel like a DJ now. We have the utilities warm home discount. We've got energy switch up there. This is an old slide, I should have taken that bit of it out, but we can help you find the best deals and the best concessions, grants and assistance with your utility bills. We've got Watershore and Water Help, which will help to reduce the cost of your water utilities. Personal independence payment, are you at the point where you can't work because of physical illness or disability, should you be claiming the personal independence payment? Again, that's another gateway benefit which will make you entitled to other benefits as well. If you're receiving benefits, could you get a 0% interest-free budget in advance loan or a budgeting loan? And if you do find that you've got creditors chasing you, that you are in debt, could you benefit from the debt respite scheme, commonly known as breathing space? Again, come and chat to one of our debt advisors. We can help you with that. We can keep the wolves from your door if you like. And finally, we've got grants and schemes, things like Acts 435 in Brent, the floor that I'm from. We have a solidarity fund to assist people that are in immediate financial crisis. But again, we can help you with other schemes, occupational schemes, ethnic schemes, religious schemes, and grants that can assist you also. So I said I was going to fly through that, and I'm just conscious of time. And if you're thinking, I don't understand what any of those things are, that was all Greek to me, that's fine. We are here to help you. So everybody that's here today, you've seen on your seat, you've got a participants pack, and in there you will have a spending diary. So that's what it looks like. And this is just for you to take control, or to have a review, if you like, of your invisible money. Okay, are you spending more than that £18.23 or £20 a month, a week, I beg your pardon? You know, what's your poison? What's the thing that sort of pushes you over the edge? Are you an excessive, addictive Starbucks coffee drinker? Do you have to have that chocolate bar that's, or the jumbo chocolate bar from the garage every time you stop at the garage on your way into work? Okay, so you can list your daily items there, the price. Was it a want or a need? And be honest, did you want it or did you need it? And needs are things that you can't do without. Yeah? Whereas wants are things that, you know, I could have done without it really. I didn't really need it, or I didn't really need that very expensive one. On the other side, you can use that space to write down your feelings. So, did you buy that big hot chocolate with the flake and the marshmallows and the extra cream, extra shot of cappuccino, espresso, and sprinkles on top? Did you buy that because you had a bad day at work? Is that your go-to thing when you have a bad day at work? Or did you buy it because you were absolutely starving hungry and that was the only thing that you could find to eat? So are you an emotional shopper? You know, that's a really good thing to do. And this is just for your use alone. I can see some of you giggling a little bit guiltily there, but it's just for your use alone to try and understand what motivates you, what influences you to spend, and where you sit on that invisible money. So when you look back at that at the end of the week, are there things that you're prepared to cut back on, to cut out, or to maybe opt for the cheap option, wait till you get to work to have that coffee? And when you figure out those figures, multiply them by 52. You know, they might not seem like significant figures on their own, but when you multiply them by 52 to get them into tiny year figure, that's when you see where you can actually make those savings. In your pack, you will have the energy savings tips, which I've alluded to many times already. So you can see there are real sort of financial savings in there. I often see money saving tips that will cost you. You need to make an investment to actually save that money. So we've been very careful to actually find money saving tips where there's little or no upfront costs to you actually being able to capitalise on that savings. So we've got a money plan in there for you. I was told not to use the word budget by somebody that I work with and respect tremendously, because it's a bit of a scary, as I say, non-sexy word. So it is a budget, but we've called it a money plan. So there's lots of information about how you can actually set about making your money plan in there, and there's space for you to actually do it. It's a tidy little booklet. But again, I'd really, really encourage you, if you are computer savvy, to use one of the online tools such as Money Helper or the Money Saving Expert tool. Okay, and last of all, you have us, Advice for Renters Money. Excuse me, so I've got 4 colleagues down here today. We're going to be here until 8 o'clock this evening, and we will be back on Friday, it's Friday the 12th as well, from 10 till 8 o'clock. So come down and have a chat with us. We don't bite, we're all lovely. And as I say, non-judgmental and very supportive. And whether it's just a little money worry that you have, or you're just wondering how I can actually perhaps save a little bit better or make a little bit more money, or whether it's just that you're absolutely panic-stricken, you don't know how you're going to pay for Christmas, you are literally watching every penny that goes into your prepayment meter for your electricity, or whether you're actually at the point where bailiffs are harassing you and you're too frightened to answer your phone or to open your mail and you just don't know what you're going to do and you think there are no answers. There is always a solution and an answer. So again, come down, talk to us. We're at 58 Oxford Street, the end by Tottenham Court Road. We can't wait to see you, and I'm going to hand over to lovely Matt from Debt Free London again.
That was jam-packed, full of information on there, all really valuable information. If you haven't been able to make lots of notes if you're watching live from home, this video and webinar is replayable over on our YouTube channel and Facebook pages, so do go and check those out. As Pat said, Advice for Renters team are here all day today and back on Friday, and the Debt Free London team are here all week, including Saturday, from 10 AM till 8 PM down at 58 Oxford Street. If you can't make it down, do give our team a call on 0800 808 5700, and you can see all of the events we've got planned on our website at www.debtfree.london/talkmoney. This week is jam-packed, full of events, and as we said at the very beginning, what we want to do this week is raise awareness and encourage anyone to talk money. We've learned so much over, not just this week, but over the last 18 months. We're going to end on a short video that explains what we do and who we help. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.
Debt Free London is a unique partnership of charities supported by the Mayor of London and the Money and Pension Service that provides free expert advice to Londoners with problem debt. Over the past year, we've done our best to adapt to the challenges of the COVID-19 crisis. We shifted to a multi-channel approach, which allowed our team to have over 44,000 conversations with clients. At the start of the year, we expanded our free advice service to operate 24/7, and we recruited 70 new advisors to support the increasing demand for our help. We piloted new ways for Londoners to reach us, such as video advice kiosks in local communities. And we launched our Budget Planner tool, which uses open banking technology to help advisors get a complete view of a client's financial history. As a service, we will continue our agile and adaptable approach, making ourselves available to anyone in need of debt advice at a time and through a channel that suits their busy lifestyle. During the national lockdowns, support initiatives provided by the government gave much needed support to those with money worries. However, as these schemes have ended, our service has seen a huge increase in inquiries. Anticipating this surge in demand, we successfully prepared by training 70 new debt advisors and deploying video advice kiosks in community hubs across London. And we went further still to support Londoners in our response to the crisis. We collaborated with NG and the Employees Domestic Abuse Covenant to host a series of workshops for women suffering from abuse, empowering them to become financially independent and offering vital one-on-one support. In fact, most of our clients in the last year were female. As with previous years, the majority of our clients were in the 35 to 49 age group, with the next largest group being 50 to 60 years. The largest proportion of our clients say they are white British. Despite the number of clients saying they are Black African falling over the last 4 years, our clients remain disproportionately from Black ethnic backgrounds when compared to London's general population. We're here to support all Londoners, but we know our service is particularly used by those in our priority groups, including people at risk of homelessness, people experiencing domestic abuse, single people with severe mental health issues, parents of 3 or more children, people with a newly diagnosed long-term health problem, and people with variable incomes from employment. The most common types of debt we help with are rent arrears, council tax arrears, and credit card debt. Continuous evolution is in our DNA, and we know the best way to serve our clients is by having those with lived experiences co-design our services. This year, we commissioned 2 sets of research, looking to understand more about the impact debt has had on our clients, with a particular focus on those struggling with their mental health. As we contemplate the years ahead, we're realistic about the challenges we face as the country tries to recover and rebuild. Over 1 million Londoners who face the highest living and housing costs were furloughed, exposing them to the greatest risk of job loss now the scheme has ended. We know that the demographic who will be hardest hit by unemployment is younger people, and with ethnic minorities experiencing higher unemployment rates too, those that identify as Black, Black British, and Pakistani Bangladeshi will be the worst hit. As the true cost of the COVID-19 crisis begins to show, we'll continue to do everything we can to strengthen the services we provide. Anyone with a money worry is able to get in touch with us through web chat, telephone, WhatsApp and video chat, as well as across our network of face-to-face advice centres, making sure we can help as many people as possible in the months and years ahead. As we pivot from surviving a crisis to thriving in what comes next, London and the rest of the country face the challenge of a generation. That's why we will continue to stand with and work hard to support the communities who need us, by always putting them at the heart of everything we do.